Hi everyone. Now we are live. First of all, I like to invite you and to thank you all for accept our invitation on this digital event to talk a little bit more about the bioenergy sector and what is new on this market and for this market. So I present myself. My name is Renata Abreu. I am the founder of the NRGHub, that is the first energy hub in Brazil, and we act as a connecting platform between companies and people to drive business development around the energy sector, mainly based on innovation and sustainability. So I like also to thank our partnership with the Israel Trade and Investments that accept this adventure to arrange connections around the world, mainly to talk about and explore more the bioenergy solutions. And also, we have a partner that support us on the promotion of this event, that is Synergy Ventures, is a venture builder company that helps mainly startups on the energy sector to grow up and to find opportunities not only in Brazil but abroad. And also, I can't leave to thank you all, my guests, not only in Brazil, but also in Israel to participate on this event. I will pass my word to Tali Siegel, that is a Israel consul, for opening this event and share with us a little bit more about how Israel has become the main innovation ecosystem on the planet. So I welcome you all again, all the participants. If you have any questions, you can send us on the chat of YouTube, and enjoy the day, enjoy this event, and thank you very much for everyone present.
Thank you very much, Renata, and it's also a great opportunity to thank you for the partnership and for the collaboration. Hopefully, it won't be the first one. Since this is the first interaction, maybe for some of you with Israel and the Israeli ecosystem, I will try to give a bit of a background of the Israeli ecosystem in a glance. As was mentioned, my name is Tali Siegel-Ordentlich. I'm the Economic Consul of Israel to Rio, Brazil. I'm part of the Israeli Ministry of Economy and Industry, part of a great group of 45 attaches around the world located in financial capitals. And our main goal is to enhance the collaboration and the economic relation between Israel and the country where we are at. Here in Brazil, we have two economic missions, one located in Sao Paulo, led by my friend Tzachi Reich, and the other one is in Rio. We are divided by sector, so each promotes different sectors, and the energy sector is with us. On the left side of the screen, you can see some of what we do on our daily basis. I will not go through everything, but I can say that even though things are very physical as exhibition and delegation, we did manage to do in 2020, in the last year, and of course we'll proceed in 2021 to pass everything to the virtual zone and to still help contacting Brazilian companies and Israeli companies to continue the business. I would just say one word about what we do, and I think one of the most important things for us, it would be to be very precise. We would like to do scouting. We would like to do things that are in need of the company, if it's the Israeli company or the Brazilian company, to look for the right solution and to do the right connection between the partners. So a little bit about Israel. If you haven't visited yet, Israel is a small country, 22,000 kilometers square. I think it's about 10% of the state of Parana. A population of 9 million people, and keep on counting. The numbers going pretty quickly if we compare it to other OECD countries. GDP per capita for 2019 was $42,000, ranked 29 in the world. The growth rate in 2019 was 3.4, export of 115 billion, which is a lot for a very small country, and a credit rate, according to S&P Global, AA-. I will not ignore, of course, the COVID-19 and the effect that it brought to the world, and of course on economies. But you can see that it did came to Israel when Israel was in a very economical, good situation in general. So we were hurt, but not as hurt as we thought maybe, and as other countries thought. The forecast, not the forecast, but we can say the 2020, which is not finalized already, but we might see that the growth shrinking in 3.3%, but the forecast for 2021, due to the vaccination, due to the fact that Israel almost vaccinated 50% of the population, the forecasts are pretty optimistic, and we do expect to see a growth in 2021, a lower one, but a growth in any way. A little bit more about the nation of innovation. Some know it due to the book as the startup nation. So in Israel, we have more than 300 multinational corporations that have R&D centers in Israel. 13% of the GDP drives from the high-tech industry, which is the industry that actually was thriving during the pandemic, during 2020. We have around 40,000 startups, which is for 9.2 million people. It's the highest concentration of leading startup companies. We rank third in the New York Stock Exchange market, and we are ranked fourth as a global startup ecosystem in the world after the US, UK, and Canada. In Israel, we have about 1,400 new innovation startup rising every year. Of course, not all of them succeed, but they do try. And the ones that succeed are the ones that help the economy succeeding in the country. You might hear some of them. You might are using some of them even on a daily basis. If it's the Waze, Cherry Tomato, the Share Drive, Mobileye, the Iron Dome that everybody heard about, and others. These are inventions that we are using in our daily life and that really change the world in a way. So as I mentioned, the 300 multinationals that are operating in Israel, most of them, if not all of them, have R&D centers in Israel. You can see the big names here. I'm sure that you probably know most of them. And the big question that is always asked is why? Why in such a small country in the Middle East, country without resources, a very young country, 72 years old, going 73 this year, why does it happen there? How come? So if I had to choose an answer, I would say two things. The first would be a mindset. The Israeli mindset is a very specific mindset. It's very oriented to solution. We fall in love with the problem. We like to find the right solution with a lot of risk taking. This is something that is in our DNA, to try. It's better to try than not to know what will happen, and therefore we are trying. With a lot of tolerance for failure, something that comes from above, meaning it comes from the investments of the government, it comes from the Israeli Innovation Authority, a lot of sharing the risk in order to try and to see if we can find a solution, even if it means failing at the end. The second thing would probably be the collaboration of the ecosystem. There is a great collaboration between all the relevant entities in the country. If it's the government that is encouraging and investing in promoting programs for startups, for ideas, for new innovation and technological companies that wants to rise, the government invests in it, a lot through the Israeli Innovation Authority, and help them to become a real company and to bring the idea into a product. Of course, the collaboration of the government together with the industry and with the academy, which is a very, very, very important player in the Israeli ecosystem. You will not find a university in Israel that doesn't have something related to innovation. If it's an accelerator, a hub, a department that marketize the idea and turn it to a company, to an IP. They really take this idea on an early stage and make it something that is applicable and that can go to market. Of course, the army, which is something very unique for Israel, it's mandatory at the age of 18. And a lot of people that go to the army for certain programs are the ones to also leave the army with a lot of experience, not only knowledge, but also experience. And this is something that we can see in the industry. Israel is very known for leading in computer science and cyber and other things that really come and started in the army. Sorry. I will not go through everything, but I can say also that Israel is a very diverse country. We had a great immigrants coming in the 90s with a lot of scientists that really changed the ecosystem and brought a lot of new ideas. This diversity brings a lot of changes and great minds to speak together. It's a very small country, as mentioned, and that also helped because there is not too much hierarchy. This is something to learn maybe about our culture. But apart from that, it's very easy to get to people. Being so small, I heard once someone said that all you need to know is 2 people in order to get to the one that you really want. So Israel is small and it really helps make the connection and reach to the right people in order to succeed. And this brought in the last decade more than 1,200 exits. Some of them are very, very known, in a value of $111 billion, a huge growth as you can see. And only in 2018, we had exits in the amount of $21 billion. You probably ask yourself what was the effect of COVID-19 in 2020. So I can say that, of course, the first 3 quarters of the year were disappointing, were hard. It was harder for investors to come to Israel. It was harder to make the connection and to decide. So we had less exits in 2020, but we did have a lot of investment, mostly direct investment. They were actually higher than the ones in 2019. The total amount was actually higher. So in the last quarter, we saw that it really improved, and the situation is still good for the high tech and the Israeli ecosystem. Some of the inquiries that you probably know in the last decade with the biggest companies, most of them turned this purchasing into their R&D hubs and are still operating and working in Israel for to proceed with their products there. So this is in a glance, and a little bit about Brazil and Israel. So Brazil is a very important partner for Israel. It's one of the 10 biggest export countries for Israel in 2019. Hopefully, it will also be that way in 2020. The trade balance was 1.5, and I can say that according to Mediki's data, it remained almost the same in 2020, which is a very good thing to know that even though everything that happened in the world, everything that happened with transferring cargo, Israel and Brazil kept their economic relation in a good situation and proceed working together. If you're coming to the business in Israel from Latin America and especially from Brazil and other Mercosur countries, it's important to know that Israel has an agreement with the Mercosur. We were the first country out of Latin America to do this agreement. And since January 2019, all the items that are in the agreement are on 0 import tax. Of course, there are other taxes, but the import tax does affect the total price, and therefore it makes the products coming from Israel competitive to the ones that are in the continent. Other things that we do as government also to enhance the relationship between our countries would be R&D agreements. We have 2 active R&D agreements with MRP and FINEPI. We had 2 open calls, one every year in 2019 and 2020. We have to wait and see how 2021 goes, but it is still ongoing and analyzed, and it brought a lot of collaboration between countries. Another program that is not written here would be the Scale Up. It's a Scale Up to Brazil. It's a program that is together with Apex and ABVCAP and with our offices in Sao Paulo and ourselves. It's meant to bring more Israeli companies to Brazil, cutting edge technologies in specific fields, to meet the right partners and to understand better the Brazilian market. Hopefully in 2021, it will also proceed. And if it's in your interest, we would love to have update once we know more. So what about the energy sector? So Israel have more than 400 Israeli companies that are practicing in this sector. Yes, Israel is not doesn't have the resources, and we almost don't have natural resources in Israel, to be the leaders in fuels or in certain fields. But we do have a lot of innovation, technology, and R&D, which is very important to mention. So you can find among these 400 companies, a lot of companies that are in the clean tech, in the renewable energy, energy storage and efficiency, smart grid, solar system, recycling waste, air and the environment, and other solutions that are applying in Israel and that are working there. 400 startups is a lot, and all of them are operating in Israel. And of course, as an industry in general, as a sector in general, Israel has a lot of solutions that can be relevant to the sector. If it's the efficiency of solution for the suppliers coming from e-commerce and others, safety and security that is always needed, cyber, command control, communication, operation for the production and other operations that the industry is using, autonomous vehicles and robots for remote places, and other technologies that Israel is still leading with and will be happy to share. That's in general what I try to do it with among the 15 minutes. I would like just to take one more minute to say that in May 25th and 26th, we'll have an energy exposition for Latin America. It will be virtual. Of course, we'll have around 20 companies that will present. And we would like to welcome you to keep in touch and to follow us and to see how it goes. We would love to see you registering and to introduce you to the Israeli companies. So this was in a glance, and we are at your disposal for any need. I'm very happy that some of these solutions we will see here today. We have 3 companies presenting, showing some of the abilities that Israel had, cutting-edge technologies, and I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sally. It's very impressing the ecosystem and the capacity of create and co-create solutions. So I will not take more time of our speakers. I'll leave you on the backstage, and if you want to follow us on the YouTube, I will be glad also. So now, thank you very much, and see you in the next event that we are going to plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So now I'm going to invite Mr. Avi Bremiller, is the CEO and the founder of Bremiller Energy. That is a company that works on innovative solutions related to the thermal energy storage. So welcome, Mr. Avi. Feel free to share with us your knowledge and experience on this sector. And also, I invite everyone that is watching us right now that if you have any questions, you can send us on the chat that we can provide a quickly debate with Mr. Avi. Thank you. I will share your screen now. If you want to start your presentation, feel free. I think your mic, okay?
Good morning, everybody. Is it okay now?
It's okay, yeah.
Okay. Can you please share the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it?
It's only
Oh.
This happened with everyone. So let's try again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now. Now we can see it.
Okay. So I will explain. We are a technology company which is intended to enhance the use of renewable energy in the world. I dealt with this all my life with solar energy since the 80s, solar thermal energy, and I continue to do it in the current company, which was established in 2012. A technology, a heat battery that we store heat and then we generate the heat according to the profile of the customers. We are a public company, and $80 million were invested in developing this patented technology. Basically, we store the heat in boxes of metal filled with rock dust, which is able to contain and deliver the heat. So as you can see in the picture, we charge the heat through some piping, and then we release it again through other pipes. So we have a thermal storage, a heat exchanger, and a steam generator all in one unit, in this unit. So our storage is clean, there are no chemicals involved, it's modular, it's a few megawatt hours to hundreds of megawatt hours. The lifetime is unlimited, actually, because all we do is a physical process, not a chemical one. So we heat and cool as many times as any cycle as needed. And then, of course, we have a hybrid. We can heat our storage with variable fluids or heat sources. And our storage is relatively economical. And altogether, we have here a heat battery which is able to clean the world and do it in an economic way. Basically, we are consisting of modules that you can see on the right. We add as many modules as possible, and we have some kind of counterflow heat exchanger, which we run the heat from high temperatures to low temperatures, the charging heat, and then we discharge it the other way around, and we get the profile and the kind of heat that we need. Basically, we can charge with both electricity or heat. The electricity can come from renewables, from photovoltaic panels. It can come from wind power. It can come from just hours in the day that energy is cheap. Or we can use heat. Heat can come from biomass. It can come from a genset, which is run by diesel fuel. It can come from natural gas turbine. Whatever heat is available, or waste heat is available, we can charge our storage, and we can discharge and deliver to the customer the heat, again, in the form of either hot water, steam for power generation, or just hot air. Whatever is the source of or the need for fuel, we can deliver. And that's the concept of this storage. I will give you some examples what you can do with the storage, and I believe this is more important than the concept, but of course, I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have about the technological concept. One application would be for heat recovery from diesel genset. So we put one unit of our system, you can see it in the picture, in the army base. We take the exhaust gases out of the diesel genset, we charge our unit, and then we deliver the hot water on demand. So we charge our unit around the clock because this base is off-grid. But we deliver the hot water in the morning, in the evening, when the soldiers are getting their showers, or in the noontime when the kitchen is using steam. So we deliver the heat when it's needed, and we collect it around the clock. That's the concept. And in this particular application, we save 36,000 liters of diesel oils, and we save emissions, 112 tons of emissions, CO2. There is a good return on investment. This unit was commissioned in June last week and is operational and working and doing the job. And we are really glad this is our first installation. Another application of this conceptual technology is cogeneration. You see here a unit which is charged from a natural gas turbine, micro turbine, 250 kilowatt. American turbine, which we take the exhaust heat and deliver the heat to heat the campus of students in New York State, New York Purchase. We deliver the hot water on demand. We save a lot of fuel. We use all the exhaust gases of this natural gas turbine to heat water, and we deliver according to the need. Again, we collect the heat around the clock, and we deliver the heat when it's needed. This unit is being finalized now and being shipped in a couple of weeks, and will be fully operational in the college in April 21. Another application, which is a much larger one, we come in existing power plant in Italy. This project is done with Enel, which is the largest renewable utility in the world. We come in existing natural gas combined cycle plant in Italy, and we absorb heat from steam at off-peak hours. At this particular plant, they have to take off the shutdown at 8 o'clock in the morning because of a lot of PV power is available. So they have to shut down the plant at 8 and to wrap it up back in 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So once they have to shut down, we will take the steam of this combined cycle, heat our storage, and we deliver the steam again in the evening time, saving a lot of fuel, doing the ramp up of this facility much faster than the existing ramp up rate, because there are a lot of limitations to heat exchangers like HRSGs. We take this, and since our heat exchanger is always hot, we'll take the heat, we'll deliver the power at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and once this project is on, we will have all the other power plants of Enel and other players in the world ready for this kind of implementation, where we actually, at the first stage, we will absorb the residual heat of this power plant. And the second stage, we will take from the grid residual electricity at peak hours, or solar or wind, and we'll again turn in the existing power plant, we will turn it back to electricity at the peak times in the evening, in the morning, in all relevant places of the world. This is a large storage, and we are now producing it. We will ship it in April, and probably we will finalize installing it, commissioning it, and running it by the year end of this year. What do we have in Brazil? In Brazil, we are now we have two partners right now. One of them is Fortlev Solar, which is going to be our partner in Brazil, and not just a partner, but also manufacturing facility. We will have Fortlev to manufacture our system and market and sell our systems in Brazil. And we have another partner there, the Troning, which is now doing installation and O&M, and also as a customer for our units. A bit about Fortlev and the location of this first machine that will be in Annapolis at Goya. It will start operation in April this year. And in this particular application, we will we'll use biomass. I believe Brazil is the perfect place for biomass. Biomass pellets or wood chips. And we will replace natural gas. Natural gas is at Brazil at this current location is around 4 cents per kilowatt hour. Biomass is less than 1 cent per kilowatt hour. But the problem is the biomass, you have to run it continuously. And the customers, the plastic industry, as Fortlev is, or others, they use it for cycles of heating and cooling. You have to shut it down, you have to ramp it up in 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes out of a cycle of 20 minutes. You have to play with the heat. You cannot just assume a constant flow of heat as the usual biomass system deliver. So in this case, we will deliver the heat according to the profile of the customer, and we will continuously burn the wood chips and charge our storage with. So charging is continuous, discharging is according to the profile of the customer. That's the concept which is important to understand about our product. And this is actually a place where we will charge with biomass and deliver hot air. So no steam, not water, hot air that is needed in the plastic industry processes. Another project we have is with the Tronic, and the idea there is to deliver 1.2 megawatt hour of electricity and to charge it both with PV and solar. So as we all know, we have the photovoltaic panels deliver the heat when the sun is shining, but the customers are usually interested in having the power around the clock or according to the demand profile which they produce. So we have here hybrid charging. We charge it with electricity which is coming from the photovoltaic panels, and we use it up to the late evening hours, 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. And then if it is good solar day, we will continue to deliver the electricity from the PV through our storage and steam turbine. And once the solar electricity is off, we will charge it with biomass and deliver the electricity from biomass. And by having a hybrid system of both renewable fuels, we can deliver the electricity around the clock. This is a very good example how renewables are becoming a major source of supply of power and not just something nice to have in the sunny day. We will always deliver the requested power. One must remember that the customer is probably interested in 3 things. One, having a safe supply of power, heating and cooling and electricity. Number 2, we all would like to get it cheap. And number 3, we would like to get it as clean as we can. And this is a good example of how we do all those 3 things within the framework of existing energy prices in Brazil. So these 2 major projects are really major breakthroughs, and we would like and believe that it will be a good demonstration of our capabilities and technology in Brazil. Right now, we are producing those products in Israel, but by mid-2022, we are planning to deliver the plants directly from Brazil, manufactured in Brazil with the Brazil technicians and installations and business people implementing this nice technology. And we are really thankful for the collaboration and the help we got from the Brazilian government, from Embrape, and from the Israeli Ministry of Economy through the Innovation Authority. Here you can see some examples of what can be done with this kind of technology. So we can take electricity and bring it back as electricity, as we do in the Tronic project. We can use biomass to heat. We can use photovoltaic panels, as I said, back to heat, and deliver it and use it in flexible combined cycles. In waste heat recovery, which is a major application which I did not elaborate, it's not right now, but it's a really major way of charging our storages, and do cogeneration especially when big advantage in cogeneration is you can separate between the delivery of electricity and the delivery of heat or cooling according to the demand profile. In many cold countries, you need to deliver the electricity during the day and the heat during the evening. It really depends where you are in the world with these kind of technologies, but there are applications, as I mentioned before. Thank you very much. Well, a couple of more maybe slides here on location. We will have our location of our facility in Sea Espirito Santo area. You can see where exactly the plant is going to be operational in a little bit more of a year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Avi. I will bring some questions from our public here. I have one, quickly one from Leandro Martins that asks you about the efficiency and the life cycle of this storage and what is the difference between this solution and the traditional one.
Okay. Efficiency, when you turn electricity or biomass into heat, you can get efficiencies of more than 90% because we do recycling and we do use the heat. So efficiency when we charge with electricity or biomass is in the range of 90%. We are losing in our storage 3% per day. So this will give you the picture of where we are. About when you convert the heat back to electricity, we then do it through a steam turbine, and the typical efficiency of this process is going to be in the range of 40%. But we must remember that as time goes by, our fuel, which is, let's say, photovoltaic panels, is 2 cents per kilowatt hour, and our other fuel, biomass, is less than 1 cent per kilowatt hour. So even if the efficiency is only 40%, still your total cost is in the range of 3 to 5 cents per kilowatt hour. So it is still relevant. About the life cycle of this technology, we officially are saying 30 years. Practically speaking, from our many cycles that we run this technology for the last 8 years, this is endless. Since you are not getting close to any temperatures that may degrade the efficiency, and since we don't use any chemical processes, only physical ones, we expect lifetime unlimited time of this kind of technology. And as far as the question of how are we comparing to others, I'm not aware of, there are other thermal storage technologies that are there, but I don't know of any technology which is similar, while in the same unit you accept the heat, you absorb the heat, and on the other you exit the heat in the form of water, steam, or hot air, whatever is needed, all in one unit. I'm not aware of any kind of similar technology that exists in the world right now. It might come in the future, of course.
Thank you. We have other questions, but I'll leave these questions. I will send you these questions and all the contacts if you want after to share with us your contact on the chat, on the private chat that we have here. I can share your email for everyone that has doubts about your solution. And thank you again for this interesting and impressive solution that you developed. That I can see that we might have many opportunities related on the bioenergy sector, that because your solution is a hybrid solution, so this is very interesting. So I will invite you to stay with us on the backstage and to follow us on the YouTube to see what our Brazilian partners also have to show on opportunities for your solution also. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. I will now invite Mr. Joseph Dahan. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if I pronounce correctly.
That's perfect. That's perfect, Renata. Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you. Yeah.
Actually, I don't have an Hebrew name. I don't have an Hebrew name because I'm French of origin. And so I hope everybody will be able to bear my French accent, although I've been living almost 10 years now in Israel.
Oh, nice. I speak French also. Better, I think better than English. So, but unfortunately, we can't speak French today. But I will only present you a little bit. Like Mr. Joseph Dahan is a business developer, a VP at Digitech. That is a renewable energy company. It specializes in nutrient recovery, integrated biogas solutions, and water recycling. We focus on the livestock industry. So it's very a brief introduction. Feel free to share your presentation with us, and also all your expertise on this subject.
Thank you, Renata. I am going to share my screen. Hopefully you'll be able to see my presentation. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, only the mode, I think. Can you choose the presentation mode? Because I don't know if you are using the...
Let me change that.
Yeah. Only, yes. Yes. Now it's
good.
Perfect.
Okay, great. So good morning, everyone. Thank you again, Renata and Tali as well for the invitation and the opportunity to speak to the Brazilian market. Actually, we know a little bit about Brazil. We've been looking at this market for SG Tech for the past few months, and what we discovered actually there is very interesting. We found a very active market, especially in the biogas space, which is the space where we play. We've seen a big jump in terms of biogas plants. And therefore, what I would like to do in the next 10, 15 minutes is to tell you what we are doing at SG Tech to make the production of biogas cleaner. And so I'd like to start with a small movie, which you can see here. And the black water that you're seeing going out of this pipe comes straight out of a biogas plant. This black water is actually the water that comes out after the production of the biogas. And this is actually the remainder of the production of the biogas, which is heavily loaded in nitrogen, phosphorus, and also emits a lot of greenhouse gas emission. So we like to think about biogas as a clean energy, but it comes with a large problem in terms of how to deal with these polluting elements. And it's actually a big concern. I will give you an example. For instance, a small farm of 100 cows will produce about 2,000 tons of manure per year. And this manure is heavily loaded in nitrogen phosphorus, which is about the equivalent of 4 jumbo jets. Okay, and we are talking only about a very small farm. You have farms of 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 cows. So it's a problem that we need to address. And just to give you an example of the kind of pollution generated by phosphorus and nitrogen, you see here at the bottom of my screen what we call the HAB, or harmful algae blooms. And you see that when phosphorus and nitrogen reach underground waters or rivers, it will actually turn into this green substance that you can see. It will kill the ecosystem and will also be very harmful to human health, especially with babies. Therefore, what we do at SG Tech is to enable sustainable development. And we do that by providing a breakthrough eco-friendly solution for the production of biogas, which removes the harmful constituent of the process, while increasing by up to 30% the amount of energy produced. Our solution enables particularly small and medium-sized farms around the world to increase and diversify their source of income, while at the same time producing clean energy. To give you a perspective on the benefits compared to standard biogas solution, first of all, we clean the water. So what you see above is actually the water that comes out of the biogas plant. It's actually stored usually. The regulation, depending on the region of the world, but the regulation will require to store this digestate for a period of 6 to 8 months, just to make sure that it doesn't mix with rain and goes into underground water. Okay, why? Because there's a lot of nitrogen and phosphorus. On the other hand, because we remove the nitrogen and the phosphorus, we are able to spread it straight away into the fields, for instance, or reuse it for any kind of reuse in the farm. There are some specific areas where regulation requires you to store it anyway, regardless of the cleanliness of the water, but where regulation permits and allows you not to store it, then you can spread it straight away. The second benefit, as I mentioned, is no storage needed in our solution. And the third one is that we increase by up to 30% the amount of energy produced between electricity, biomethane, and heat as well. To give you an example in practice, we actually have a plant in operation here in Israel. You can see here at the top this picture from above that our plant is extremely close to Ben Gurion Airport here in Israel. And we sometimes have customers who make the trip, they land at the airport, they come to see the plant, and they come back straight after just to see it working. That has not been the case for the past year or so because of the COVID, but we hope whenever we can fly again to host any one of you and to show you the technology working here. And so the plant has been in operation for the past 3 years, and it's taking care of about 120 cows. And what we get there at Be'erot Yitzhak is on average 65% biomethane yield. The numbers we know from the standard biogas production are around 48 to 54% for cow manure. We also are able to remove up to 90% of the nitrogen contained in the digestate. The solutions we know in the market nowadays are around 60%. It can go up higher, but then you will have to put some additives, some chemicals, which will increase the cost of this solution and require also human labor. In our solution, everything comes naturally. There is no additive whatsoever. And in terms of phosphorus, we're able to remove up to 70% of the phosphorus. Just to give you an idea of what you get in, this is actually the raw waste that comes from the manure. And then after the first step, we get this type of water. And the last step, you get a water that is much cleaner, less phosphorus, less nitrogen, and by extension, it doesn't emit that much of greenhouse gases. So how we do it? It's a question that comes quite often because the people who are expert in biogas, they know exactly the process and they're trying to understand how we are able to increase the amount of biogas while at the same time removing the phosphorus and the nitrogen. And so the work we've been doing over the past 5 years has been to understand what we call the microbiome. The microbiome is actually composed of all the microorganisms, all the microbes, which are naturally present in the manure, whether it is cows or pigs or even chicken. There are some microbes, and each of them have a specific function. Some of them are going to enable the creation of biogas. Others are going to decompose the nitrogen and turn it into natural gas, for instance. So the work that we've been doing is to create a mapping of all these microbes. And our work has been to understand when and how to activate them at the right step of the process. For example, in the first step of the process, we are looking to create the biogas. Therefore, we are going to enhance all these microbes which will have a benefit to the creation of biogas while inhibiting the others. And then later on in the process, we are going to remove the nutrients, and therefore we are going to change the conditions, the temperature, the mixing, the dilution, and so on, in order to favor all the microbes that will actually remove the nutrients. And that's all the work that we've been doing. And just to summarize, we have on one hand a process that exists. This is the process of the production of biogas with 3 reactors, as you can see there. And then we have our core microbiome, the knowledge of the microbes present in the reactors. And in turn, we get the increased methane production and the decreased nutrient level. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about business and application. What do we do with that? So we have actually started to work with a partner in Germany called Bert, who actually also has a presence in Brazil. And the idea was to create a very small plant. For those of you who know the biogas industry, you will certainly know that a biogas plant is extremely expensive. We are talking about at least $1 million investment, and therefore you need to have a certain scale to be able to make a profit and a return on that. But we wanted to look at the market for small farms. Why is that? Because only in Europe we have more than 224,000 farms with less than 500 cows. And in Brazil, I found actually some data talking about 900,000 farms, dairy farms in Brazil, a large part of which are very small farms. Therefore, there is a huge untapped market. And this is what we are coming to address with this solution. This is actually a biogas plant in a container. We are able to standardize actually the biogas plant, put that into the container that comes with CHP, a combined heat and power, which will allow you to produce electricity and heat, and deliver that within 75 days to the farmer. The beauty of this solution is it's actually mobile. You can actually take it and send it someplace elsewhere afterwards, because it's all contained in a standard container. Just to give you an example in terms of economic, if we talk about the small model of 20 kilowatt, it will produce about almost 200,000 kilowatts per year, okay, and which will allow the farmer to save around $47,000 Brazilian real per year, about 115,000 kilowatts. The rest is actually used for the operation of the plant. But it will also allow you to produce compost fertilizer, which comes naturally out of the process. It will also reduce the nitrogen, and therefore will require the farmer a lot less land to spread the digestate in order to comply with the regulation, about 50% reduction. So it's perfectly suitable for small farmers because they don't have that much land and they need to deal with the regulation just to make sure that they don't go over the limits of allowed nitrogen per acre or per hectare. So we see that as a very good solution for these small farmers. And last but not least, we are able also to provide financing through Finame. We know that Finame is a big thing in Brazil. It allows you a 12-year financing. And therefore, this solution comes with a comprehensive package of the plant itself and the financing and also the support and maintenance to make sure that the plant stays in optimal conditions of operation. We are also addressing the market of large-scale plants. We have a number of projects with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 cows, mainly in Europe. And our technology is also very suitable for these very large plants, and particularly relevant for the extra production of biogas. For instance, in Europe, the feed-in tariffs are still very interesting. For instance, in Italy, there's a lot of emphasis on the biomethane production that goes into the transportation, and there's a lot of subsidies. So a number of biogas developers are extremely interested in producing biomethane and get the subsidies of the government. And therefore, we are able to address also these large projects. The removal of nitrogen and phosphorus is extremely important. Especially Europe has very strict regulation regarding the nitrogen and the phosphorus. Nitrogen, you can't spread more than 170 kilograms per hectare and per year. It's a big concern because Italy, for instance, or the west of France have a lot of concern with regards to land availability. With our solution, we are able to remove up to 50% the land required, and that has a lot of meaning, especially for very large plants. One of the services that we are developing is actually a big data services. So we are looking to connect all of our plants to our big data cloud. And by doing that, we're able to collect a lot of information, the temperature, the dilution, the biogas output, the electricity output. And in return, we are able to remotely control the plant so that we can change the condition and make sure that the output yield and the phosphorus and nitrogen removal are always optimal. Okay, and that's part of our support and maintenance service. We obviously work with the local partners. We need to do regular maintenance, looking at physically at the plant, but a lot of the process can be monitored through our system. I would like to give 2 or 3 words on the company itself to conclude my presentation. So we've been in existence for the past 5 years, 6 years almost now. There are 21 employees with a lot of expertise in wastewater treatment, microbiology, and artificial intelligence. We are also member of a number of associations, American Biogas Council, ADBA in the UK, the World Biogas Association. We also have an active member who has written some articles about the reduction of greenhouse gas emission through solutions like ours. Okay, and we have also a number of patents, already 4 patents on the solution, and we are planning to apply for more. We were very proud actually to be awarded by Frost & Sullivan in 2019 the prize for European livestock waste management technology innovation. And so they looked at us, they compared us with a number of other solutions, and found out that we are solving a real problem, and therefore we were awarded this prize in 2019. You see a part of the team at the bottom, very young. I'm probably one of the oldest with our CEO, but indeed, as Tali was mentioning, a young country, young people, but a lot of expertise. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Joseph. Oh, it's very interesting. I was talking on the private chat with my colleagues from the biogas sector that we might have lots of opportunity for developing some partnership here, and maybe for your solution could be a very good opportunity to develop SG Tech here in Brazil. So I don't see any questions right now here on our YouTube chat. but I'll invite you to stay with us. If you want to stay with us on the backstage or even following us on the YouTube, feel free to choose what you want. But and also, if you could after share your contact, or if you allow me to share your contact on the chat for everyone that wants to contact you to know more about SG Tech solution, it will be great. So
yes, Steven, I feel free to share my email and telephone number with pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now I'll invite our last, but not the less important company from Israel is Home Biogas. I think most or some of us already know this company. I'll invite Leandro Toledano, that is the director here in Brazil. And the Home Biogas is a small-scale solution that convert organic waste into renewable energy, and is an off-grid system. It's a very interesting solution to provide like access to energy from those that don't have access, for example. And so I will not take your time, Leandro, so feel free to present yourself and to show what Home Biogas is doing here in Brazil. I think your microphone is
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Renata, thank you for the invitation. Also, Deborah, for connecting us to be able to show a little bit about what Home Biogas has been doing here in Brazil, particularly, but also in 100 countries. We are a driven company to bring our mission. If we start thinking about Tikkun Olam is very strong for us when we think about bringing dignity, bringing changes to everyone, the most needed ones. We have seen great solutions on the large scale, but when we think moving the line from the back to the front, people that really the most needed ones. So I'll first start showing a video, and after the video, I'll go through our whole idea and our mission. Renata, would you
show? Yeah, I'll show here.
We can have a better life and also protect our environment and our health.
Today we are shipping 150 home biogas systems to Brazil!
It's a product that's initially designed to take care of the ones who need it the most.
There are so many people who don't have access, and where biogas can be a real tool to improve their lives.
Why we are here? Because we have a vision. And the vision is to make biogas affordable and available to all.
It's a big family, Home Biogas family, because everybody shares our vision of making this planet a better place and to spread the solution of Home Biogas.
Perfect. Well, that was a good briefing of what we've been doing all over the world. we have started our process thinking about how to bring renewable energy, food security to everyone on the most needed ones. So we have used a natural process, anaerobic biodigestion that everybody knows about it, the biodigestion, but we were able to put inside a box. So it's scalable. We can bring to any place at any time, and the most important, we can put a plant together in less than 2 hours. Anyone can do it. It's like a do-yourself project. So the family together or any person can build the system in less than 2 hours. And from then on, for the next 15 years, they're gonna have renewable energy, waste management, and the fertilizer. When we talk renewable energy, if we think about just Brazil at this moment, we have 14 million families in Brazil that cook every day on charcoal or manure. So we are talking a big part of the population. If we think in Israel, we have 9 billion people living in Israel, and we have here in Brazil 14 million families cooking on charcoal or manure. And when we talk manure, it's exactly what you guys thinking about it. I've been to all over in Brazil. When you go to the arid part of Brazil, they don't have a tree to cut. They'll be cooking on the manure of their cow or of their horse. So they'll take the manure and they'll put on the sun and they'll make a cake. And from then they're gonna do the cooking. 4.2 million people every year all over the world have respiratory problems through this inhalation, the continuous inhalation of this smoke. So we have a solution that makes a change, and for the most needed ones, we are a real program to be able to scale and bring basic dignity to all these people. 2018, we launched our bio toilet, and I'm gonna show you guys one more video so you guys will be able to see this working. 1 second. I know I didn't show it to you, but it's right here, Renata. 1 second. Right here.
No problem.
You guys able to see it?
Yeah. No, I will put. Yeah.
Venho da mata, trago a luz da miração. De desencanto de Chico e Cavá, fazendo a transformação. Venho da mata, trago a luz da miração. De desencanto de Chico e Cavá, fazendo a transformação.
So this was the first tribe here in Brazil. It's a Guarani tribe on the state of São Paulo. Now we are developing business with several tribes all over in Brazil. We've been running home biogas here in Brazil. Our company here in Brazil is called Bio Movement. We are the exclusive distributor of home biogas in Brazil. I'm very glad also to say that home biogas was listed on the Tel Aviv exchange about 3 weeks ago. And our hopes is to grow and grow more and bring more dignity. But on this tribe in particular, their daily necessities, their feces were done in the middle of the woods. We're talking about the tribe, but let's talk all over the world. The vulnerability on that time when people are going to the bathroom, especially the women, the rates of rapes and problems that happens when people are doing their basic necessities because they don't have a toilet to go. It's very simple to us to think about toilet. You press a button, the feces go away, and you don't even know what happens. We're talking about bringing immediate dignity to treat human waste, all the organic waste, and turn into biogas, secure for them to cook. Our system will produce the gas, will hold the gas inside the system, and will connect straight to a gas stove, and they are able to cook. This is a little bit of our solution. In Brazil right now, we have over 400 plants already installed in the last 2 years. We have big plans for Brazil, 220 million people. If we believe, and the dates here in Brazil, we're talking 1 out of 2 persons in Brazil doesn't have basic sanitation in the country. So we have a lot of work. We have a lifetime work to do here in Brazil. We are located already in 21 states out of 27 states in Brazil. We are in 21 states. We have over 80 approved partners that can resell and work with us. And we are open to governments, NGOs, end users. And the only thing that I want to bring, and it's very special, we as society, we have to make a decision. What's next? We're going to keep digging, looking for oil, or we can change and move to a cleaner, healthier, and take care all over our world. So I want to thank everybody. I'm very glad to be able to bring this technology from Israel to Brazil, a place that if we look at Israel, I've been there several times, we have trees in the middle of the desert. We bring technology to another level, and we are able to bring this technology, and we're going to have soon a couple other good technologies from home biogas that's on P&D, and soon we'll have in the large scale, probably in the first trimester of next year, we already have a couple plants installed in Brazil, and they'll do in the bigger scale. So I want to thank for the opportunity, and I'm open to any questions. And I'll give my contact information. So you guys, if you guys anything else, I'll be happy to do the considerations. Thank you for the time, Renata.
Thank you, Leandro. It's very inspiring. I already knew home biogas. I also was very excited to meet you, not in person, but in person, but because for us, we as NRGHub, we provide this kind of solutions here in Brazil to promote the social development, the environmental development, not only looking for the economic side of the sustainability. And it's very inspiring your solution. And I can see that the bioenergy or the renewable energy sector can provide. We have solutions to provide for all citizens, or for all people that want to use and profit from this benefit. So thank you for your explanation and for your innovative solution. And I hope also to know and to keep in touch with you, to meet and to be able to know the other solutions that you are developing. So thank you very much. If you want to send your contact on the YouTube, feel free also. I receive on the private chat. I can share also with everyone. So you can stay with us here on the backstage, or follow us on the YouTube. So thank you very much.
I appreciate the time, and we as society, we have to think a little bit more what's next. We are in 2021, and we are digging like our primitives to bring solutions. It's about time to think about technical solutions. There's a lot available, and we are able to make this change. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So now I'll invite our Brazilian partners only to give an idea of our market related to the bioenergy sector. So we are going to talk about the biomethane, the biogas, and waste to energy solutions. And I'll start to invite Tamar. Reutemann, that is the executive manager of the Brazilian Biogas Association. And I'll invite you, Tamar, to share with us how is the status right now of the biomethane market, and how is the opportunity for the Brazilian suppliers that want to develop their business here, and mainly to the international partners that want to come here to transfer their knowledge and technology to develop our market. So feel free to share with us your presentation. I don't know if you have a presentation or, yeah?
Yes. Hi, Renata. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for the invitation, Renata, and congratulations on the event. It's really interesting to know about biogas in other countries, such as Israel. I'm going to share a presentation. Yes. Let me just open. Okay. Okay, let me know if you're seeing this. Can you see my?
Okay. Yeah, you have only to put on share. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So good morning to you all. As Renata mentioned, I'm Tamar. I'm the executive manager of Biogas, the Brazilian Biogas Association. And we, as an association, we represent companies, and we work on public policies, regulation. Our mission is to promote the sustainable energy with biogas here in Brazil, and we are working on that since 2013. So now we are around 70 companies in the association, and the companies are from all the supply chain in biogas production. So biomass producers, equipment providers, services, and all you need for biogas production to commercializing it. So I'm going to be a little bit fast because I know about the time. I'm going to be quick, but any doubt that you have, I invite you all to look at our websites, look for us in LinkedIn, our social media. We are, every time we are providing information, communicating, and sharing about biogas market in Brazil. So feel free to contact us anytime. So biogas plant we consider it a biorefinery. Today we are looking at most of the time to power, heat, and fuel production, and a little bit about fertilizers. I mentioned that here in Brazil, that is what we are mainly focused today, but biogas can produce a lot of other products. Not only that, we can be a source for hydrogen, clean hydrogen, ammonia, CO2, and a lot of other products. And this could be the same as fossil fuel, as petroleum. And we believe that we are still in the early stages of development of the source, that we could be using that to produce everything else, a lot of things, and to reduce the use of fossil fuels. So considering the regulation of biogas in Brazil, that is, as I mentioned, our main focus of work and our main objectives as an association that is representing the sector. Everything that is needed to produce, to sell biogas and biomethane, that is the renewable natural gas, everything is well established in regards to regulation. So there is no constraints in this area. We still have some challenges, of course, in the development of the market. It is to the source to be well known and to have more representativity and to have more projects, more biogas projects in Brazil. But all of the regulation that is needed is ready. So how is biogas in the energy matrix today in Brazil? As I mentioned, we are still less than 0.1%. That is really low. And we see that biogas is a great energy source, and it could be used not only to generate electricity, but to replace fossil fuels such as diesel and natural gas. And making a link with the previous presentation, home biogas is focused on this production that is small scale. Here in Biogas, in the association, our focus is to develop this source in higher scale, because we believe that this is the best source for energy, and it could replace and reduce a lot our dependency on fossil fuels, and also it could be the best way to decarbonize our matrix. So today in Brazil, we have more than 500 plants, biogas plants operating, most of them generating electricity, and just some of them producing biomethane, that is renewable natural gas. But we see that there is a huge potential for biogas production here in Brazil. Most of this potential is on the sugarcane industry that already produces sugar and ethanol and bioelectricity using the bagasse, but there are other residues such as vinasse and filter cake and sugarcane straw that could be used to produce biogas and increase the amount of energy from these plants. Animal manure, we have a huge production of animals and agricultural production here in Brazil. As you know, this sector is the sector that grows the most here in Brazil. So the production of residues in these sectors is going to be really huge for a long time. And we are only use these residues. So the amount that is not being used, they can be transformed into energy, and not only reduce their own consumption of energy, because they need diesel to produce the food and etc. They also need a lot of electricity. So the best way, the most efficient, is for them to produce their own energy. And also sanitation, and we have a huge potential in municipal solid waste and sewage treatment. So considering just residues, as I mentioned, we could supply more than 34% of electricity that is consumed here in Brazil, or more than 70% of more than 70% of diesel demand. Biomethane could replace more than 70% of diesel demand if we produced everything that we have the potential to do. Talk a little bit about the equivalence of biogas, biomethane as most specifically, and natural gas. Biomethane is the equivalent of natural gas, is the biogas that is purified, so it contains more than 90% of methane, so it's the same, exactly the same composition, same calorific value. It has the same control and regulatory aspects of natural gas. It is well established. You can use it in light or heavy duty vehicles. It can be injected in the distribution grid, and it could replace diesel and other fossil fuels. And biogas and biomethane has a lot of advantages. That is not only to be a renewable source and reduce GHG emissions, they are a source that is spread all over the country. You can produce your own fuel in the same place that it is consumed. That is a highly efficient, and it is an industry that we already have established in Brazil. We import a lot of fuel from a lot of other countries, so we are not developing our national industry when we do that. So biogas is the way to do that. Biomethane production today is, of course, in around 10 plants. We have around 10 plants, around 100,000 of cubic meters per day, but our expectations is to get to 30 million cubic meters per day in 2030. And we believe that it's not optimistic. This is the pessimistic expectation. We believe that we can do a lot more of that. So biogas is production where pipelines can reach. That is what I mentioned about decentralized. Biogas can be produced everywhere in the country, and our pipelines are concentrated in the coast. That is where we have production of natural gas. And all of this gas cannot reach the interior of the country where there is need for this fuel, this kind of fuel that is really important, and it's could be used in industry and to help grow economy in interior of the country. So in energy transition, biogas is the goal. That is what we see. We hear a lot about energy transition and natural gas as the energy transition fuel. That is, we need to balance the intermittence of sources such as wind and solar, and that is why we are still dependent on fossil fuels, and there is no simple solution to do that. And biogas is the simple solution. It is a solution that is established and it's ready to be put in place. I'm sorry this chart is on Portuguese. I just had to put it like this today, but we see that biomethane is a source with negative GHG emissions. That means it captures more GHG gases, more CO2 from the atmosphere that it liberates during this production. And this is when you calculate using life cycle emissions. Okay. So besides being the energy transition source, the goal to these energy transitions, biogas has other advantages, not only decarbonization, as I mentioned. So it is a non-intermittent renewable energy. It's a storable source, and it's really important when we talk about energy transition. Especially nowadays, we have a high share of intermittent renewable sources such as wind and solar, and they cannot operate alone. They need to have a source that balance their production that is intermittent. And we only hear about a discussion about natural gas as this source to stability, but biogas is much more interesting since it is a renewable source and it helps decarbonizing. It's a flexible source, and you have other advantages such as the production of biofertilizers and other products, as I mentioned, such as hydrogen. It is a storable source, so you can use it every day, all day long, and you can reduce the intermittence of other sources. So we see that a great possibility is to use it as in hybrid plants that take the advantage of other sources in a mix. So this is what I had to present to you today. I know we are in a rush, so I am available. Abiogas is available for you anytime to contact us. Please follow us on our social media and let us know if you have any doubts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tamar. It's very interesting because I'm a big fan of the biogas market, and I can see that the market is growing fast. Instead, some challenges that we have on the market, but I can see very big opportunities for a long, short-term period for us, as I say, as the market, and this is very motivating. So thank you very much. If you want to share your contact on the chat on YouTube, feel free. I can share also if you want. And I thank you once again to participate and share with us more information about the biogas market in Brazil. Thank you.
Thank you, Renata.
So now we passed a little bit our time, but I think our event is very interesting, and I have two more guests that I want to invite to share with us their knowledge and their experience on the bioenergy market. I will now invite Nicholas, that is representing CI Biogas, in name of the Rafael Gonzalez, that is the president. We know that in this market everything could change, and especially on these days that we are on rush time and full time. So CI Biogas is a center of international related to the bioenergy, to the renewable energy, dedicated on the biogas sector, is the leader, as I can say, of the Brazilian market on expertise on developing projects, business models, and so on. So I invite you, Nicholas, to share with us more information about the biogas market, highlighting the opportunities that we have now for our biogas chain.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any. Okay, I can see already your presentation here.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's only put on the.
Yes, we'll do that. Well, so thank you, Renata.
Yeah.
Thank you all for the participation. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure also to substitute our CEO, Rafael Gonzalez. I'm here also to send his best regards. He could not participate due to family health issues linked to the COVID-19. And I hope to do a very good job here, and also I'm available for further questions. My name is Nicholas. I'm an economist at CI Biogas and consultant for the Jeff Biogas Brazil, a program from the Industrial United Nations program, the UNIDO. And I'm here to talk about opportunities in Brazilian biogas chain. So I've prepared a nice contents for this presentation in the past hour. So we will talk about the evolution of biogas plants in Brazil, a quick overview on biogas main renewable projects, products, some opportunities for Israel innovation ecosystem, and also opportunities for Israel's companies aiming to enter in Brazil and also wishing to have a smooth landing in the country. And in the end, I'll clarify how may CI Biogas support the suppliers from Israel. On this slide, you can check our biogas data. You can find on the address, on the subtitle, you can find this BI, and we can see a very rapid and steep acceleration of number of biogas plants in Brazil. In the last 3 years or so, the average of growth has been around 30 to 35% in the number of plants. On the downside of the below on the slide, you can check where the frequency of plants per substrate, where is it concentrated, and we see almost 80% on the agro sector, which is no big news for Brazil, since the agro is it's the biggest sector in Brazil, also from biomass production. We can also check that on the right side, the concentration of plants is mainly in Minas Gerais, Paraná, São Paulo, and Santa Catarina. These 4 states are located in the center west or south of Brazil, and they are very important agro players in the country. Minas Gerais is one of the biggest states in Brazil, and the Minas Gerais being in the first place is no news, since the regulation in the state has been very kind to the distributed generation plants. Right in the middle, you can check the number of plants per volume of biogas. So what we can interpret here is the 77% are small-sized plants, which produce a lower volume of biogas in comparison to big-sized plants. So big-sized plants, they are where they produce the most number, the highest percentage of biogas concentrated in small plants. So we can interpret this graphic in 2 ways. We can either see a large opportunity for small-sized plants, or we can also see a very good opportunity for medium or big plant or higher-sized plants in Brazil. Both have market to explore. Next slide, a quick overview on biogas main renewable products. Tamar has done already a very good presentation of the benefits and upsides of the biogas generation or the biogas technique. And my contribution here is to talk about some of the main products in the sense of decarbonization and decentralization. So this market having to do with the energy sector is really linked to regulation and linked to what are the rules of the game. So mainly electricity and methane, they are products that you can put on the cash flow. You can measure, you can do calculations, you can have very good predictions on how much free cash flow it can bring in order to calculate the project feasibilities. Energy security is a qualitative measure, but it brings a reduction of costs. So as another presentation from the colleague from Home Biogas has shown, Brazil is full of big agro producers and also small agro producers and medium-sized producers. We have all kinds of them. And sometimes they are really far from electricity. They are far from the electricity grid, which can bring a very low quality of electricity supply. And that can turn into loss of equipment or loss of cattle stock or even livestock, or even death of the animals and loss of profit. So energy security is a qualitative term which we can also put on the cash flow analysis. When we talk about fertilizer and sanitization and wellness, those are very important qualitative measures. Fertilizer, at the time, we have not a very strict or clear regulation about this market in order to commercialize biofertilizer, but it's something that the country is working on, and soon we wish to be able to put that on a cash flow. And sanitization and wellness, I think, is one of the most important benefits of biogas in the agro sector, but as well in other substrates, which brings reduction of diseases, reduction of odor, reduction of insects and diseases vectors, and that as well as the energy security, you can bring some sanitization security to the property or to the company in order to maximize profits. I've checked the trading investment Israel-Brazil website, and I have linked here I have done some printing and linked here some opportunities that I myself find interest and would suggest that the connections of the countries focus on these on this product. So the Israel Trading Investment Brazil website brings lots of some main sectors. I've chosen here agro-technology, water, food and beverage, clean tech, oil and gas. If you click on these sectors on the website, you can check actually brochures of which Israeli companies are working on in Brazil, and I have compiled here some key sectors that biogas can work with and has to do with the renewable energy and the biogas benefits. So water treatment, irrigation. Irrigation is a huge energy supply in agro properties, and with the Klimawende that we are experiencing, some places that were really wet before now are turning dry and so forth. So irrigation is a very important thing to choose and to check. And also it's important to remember that the weather fight in Israel has been something historical, frequent, and Israel is one of the main countries of water treatment with osmosis membranes and irrigation in order to produce food in dry weather. Greenhouses is also a way in order to produce food in greenhouses or in places where the weather does not help a lot. And you can also use biogas to heat these greenhouses or also to raise the CO2 content inside the greenhouse to maximize food production. Milk also turns into lots of energy supply and production of substrates. Fertilizers is a main point here. I've also brought some data from the commercial balance between both countries, and the main product, the second main product that Israel exports to Brazil are fertilizers, nitrogen, phosphate fertilizers, in the sum of $353 million in 2019. And the second main product that to Brazil, that's the main product, fertilizers. And the second main product that Israel ships to the world are electrical machinery and equipment. So we can see that we can also put some more electrical machinery mix in these imports to Brazil, and we are helped to help with that. Membranes is also a very important subject to check on, since osmosis membranes and other water treatment membranes can also have links to biogas membranes in order to produce biomethane. Biofuel, hybrid projects, which connects other types of renewables as well as photovoltaics or eolics or wind turbines with biogas projects, is also something to check on. And I already do a link with smart grids or microgrids, which is also something that's happening in Brazil, and the regulation is starting to change and to support some types of projects on microgrids. Desalination is also something that I would suggest to check on. Israel is one of the main technological suppliers of desalination technologies. And already in some countries, some states over the coast in Brazil, there has been some problems with the quality of drinking water. And since we have lots of ocean available and also energy, that would be a good way out. Opportunities for Israel companies aiming to enter Brazil. Well, I have chosen two here. First of all, it's important to mention the Jeff Biogas Brazil, which is the UNIDO project that I have mentioned, which I'm also a consultant for this project. On my part, we are helping to transfer knowledge and also to help some concessionaires to put biogas into their portfolio. And I would invite you to check on the website and keep an eye on it. because soon there will be an assistant, a call for assistance to international companies to partner up in Brazil, adapt equipments to Brazilian reality, and also to achieve a smooth landing on the country. So keep an eye on for this project. It's something really important, and that's something that shall help international companies to enter Brazil. The second one that I would like to indicate is the low carbon business section, Brazil. It's funded by the EU, and the phase 2 is about to start. On phase 1, CI Biogas, we have had a very important role as well. We have had 5 concept notes, so we have helped 5 companies from the European Union to understand the Brazilian market. And actually, one of these countries from Germany was mentioned on this presentation, on the previous presentations on this webinar. Phase 2 is about to start, and I invite you to check out the website. CI Biogas may be also a partner of future international companies inside this program to help the sustainability of business. Well, so what's CI Biogas and how may we help? Our main focus, we offer project structuring on R&D plus innovation plus market. We always have a market focus on feasibility, economic values. Lab analysis measurements, we have a lab with more than 31,000 analyses made. Knowledge transfer, please check our website to see the courses, and mainly the presential or online courses. We have also worked lots with market and regulatory intelligence. That's the area I work in, and also technical support and relevant connections. So we also work as an association for suppliers of national and international suppliers. So our job is to strengthen the biogas supply chain in Brazil. And here some examples of our portfolio. So regulatory analysis, laboratory analysis, strategic player connections, market studies. That's really important for a company that wishes to enter Brazil and to understand the country and the rules. Technical and economical feasibility studies. We always focus on the premises, very transparent, and the method used is discounted cash flow, no surprises, and our aim is to do some not optimistic analysis, but realistic and free cash flow northern. Also support to suppliers and all customized according needs. I leave here also my contact. My name is Nicholas Berhorst. Here's my phone number, my professional phone number, and also my email address. That's my presentation. I hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Nicholas. I was talking with Deborah that I'll invite only to present herself. She's responsible for the clean tax and energy tax on the Israel trade and investment, and she was telling me that it's very interesting, your presentation, that brings the possibility of connections between Brazil and Israel. And I leave the website of Jeff Biogas project if anyone wants to know more about this initiative, that we are going to have 2 calls for projects, and it will be very interesting if you all from Israel could participate. So I thank you very much. If you want to share your contact on the web, on our chat, feel free, and I'll leave you to watch and follow us on the YouTube if you want. Okay, thank you.
We'll do that. Thank you very much, you all. Thank you, Renata.
Thank you. So now I will invite our last guest, but it's a very impressive action that the ABREN is a Brazilian association that deals with waste to energy here in Brazil. And they are very young, as I say, but they have a very powerful and strategic action here in Brazil. I'll invite Yuri Schmidt, that is the president of this association. And I'll invite you, Yuri, to present and share with us how the waste to energy is treated in the Brazilian market, and how this opportunity, how our opportunity for this market, and how we can make the technology application not only based on one kind of solution, but also on a mix of solutions. So feel free to share your presentation and present yourself.
Thank you very much, Renata. I'm Yuri Schmidt, the Executive President of ABREN. We are a new association. In May of this year, we will complete 2 years of existence. But some people are saying that we walk 10 years in 2 years because we make a lot of things to create a market that didn't exist in Brazil. And now I have some projects in the development. And I have to say that Israel are in the same way. They have announced last year the first waste-to-energy plant. And they did that because it's the best way to treat the waste in big areas, in the metropolitan areas. It's not the only solution. You have enough solutions, but to generate electricity and to protect the environment is the best solution. And we have solutions with biogas also, but biogas is just the organic fraction. And waste to energy is non-recyclable waste. We can put organic also, but it reduces the generation to electricity. And as I can see, you can use biogas and waste to energy at the same time. It's not we don't have a conflict with the waste in this market. And I will share my presentation. Just a second.
Only your connection is a little. I don't know if only for me, but your connection is a little bit slow, I think. But I will share here your presentation.
Okay, it's good now.
Yeah, it's okay now.
You can see the presentation changing. Okay, it's the Brazilian population growth. Population of 211 million people is projected to reach 225 million people by 2030. Average growth of 0.8% per year. And that's the problem that we have in Brazil. We have to solve, and waste to energy is the best solution to treat the waste in the urban areas. As you can see, you make two simulated to reach what's the potential of waste to energy plants in Brazil. The first one is to represent 40% of the Brazilian population in the 28 metropolitan regions with more than 1 million inhabitants. And we have this potential to treat 97,000 tons per day of municipal solid waste with waste to energy. As you can see, this is 28 metropolitan regions in Brazil. And we make our simulation with municipalities. We selected 35 municipalities with more than 600,000 inhabitants. But as you can see, these municipalities, most of them, are inside these metropolitan regions. We cannot just put these numbers. And as you can see, we use the medium of calorific power of Brazil. We make a study of 19 cities in Brazil. We get these numbers and use 28 of gross power efficient in a waste-to-energy plant, and 80,000 hours per year. And you have this potential of generation of electricity of 19 terawatt hours per year of electricity, or 2.3 gigawatts of installed power in these 10 metropolitan regions. And if you consider the municipalities with more 600,000 inhabitants, you have this potential. And as you can see now, is a table that represents what we study. We make a financial modeling with 10% of internal tax of return. As you can see, you can have 118 plants of 20 megawatts of installed power, and you can invest in these 28 metropolitan regions of Brazil that is selected. 13.6 billion of dollars you can invest in Brazil. It's a huge potential to investments and to protect the environment, and to generate electricity, clean energy, and renewable. We have some new incentives in our country that are contributing to make feasible waste-to-energy plants. We have the new legal framework for sanitation, was approved last year in July, imposing 30 years PPP contracts for new municipal solid waste concessions, and avoiding our 5 years contracts that we have in Brazil. It will be give a guarantee to the financial waste-to-energy plants and long-term contract to make this feasible. And as you can see, we have the first national waste management plant in the history. The law of 2010 made this obligation, but we didn't create this national waste management plant. But last year we started to create this plan, and this is finishing this year. And average to treat the waste to 2024 is 97,000 of tons per day. It's the same quantity of the municipal solid waste that are generated in France. It represents 40% of our waste that are going to controlled landfills and dump sites. And you have to substitute this to landfills, sanitary landfills. And waste-to-energy plants is the best way to give this new destination, to make this feasible in our country. As you can see, in 2018, the Supreme Court banned the construction or extension of landfills in environmentally protected areas, resulting in the search for alternative treatments for 37,000 tons per day of municipal solid waste, due to lack of new available areas. As you can see, the two biggest landfills, Seropédica, that treat 9.5 thousand tons per day, and Seropédica, São Paulo, 12,000 tons per day of municipal solid waste. It represents 12 million people or 10 million people. It's a huge landfills that is inside environmentally protected areas. We need to stop these landfills and put waste-to-energy plants as soon as possible. That's the way. And we have the problem, the collapse of landfills within 3 or 4 or 5 years. And we need to find new areas. It's more longer. You have the emissions, the order to transport this municipal solid waste to locate it more. The distance is more distant to transport this waste. That's the problem. and more cost, and municipalities will have to pay that. And you have the problem. Having a new landfill, you have the problem because you have to treat the oldest landfills because the cities are growing. You have these problems also. It's very expensive to discontaminate these areas. It's more expensive than if you planted a waste-to-energy plant. As you can see, this is a map of São Paulo. Most of the landfills are going to collapse. And we have federal funds to support the structure of waste management projects. Caixa Econômica Federal is a bank in Brazil. You have 23 projects ongoing to celebrate concession contracts with 30 years. And we have clauses to give more receipt to waste plants also. And improvement of financing conditions. You have the lower taxes to environmental sanitation in Brazil. As you can see, the Brazilian government introduced a green debentures program for waste-to-energy projects through the decree 10.387 from June of last year. And as you can see, have another conditions to finance these waste-to-energy plants in Brazil. The inflation rate at lowest levels in Brazil, as you can see, it's a good country to invest now. It's accumulated, as you can see, down from 11.3% in 2016. The second lowest history in the level in our country. The tax reform is not approved yet, but will reduce it to 20 or 25% the taxes in Brazil. You give more incentives to the infrastructure in Brazil to invest in energy, clean energy, renewable, and waste-to-energy. As you can see, have the decrease of average import duties. The average import duties have decreased from 10% in 2013 to 7.4% in 2019. And the government is further facilitating the import of several machines and equipments to the Brazilian. And you can have zero of rate if you don't have a national similar product. And you have a dedicated auction planned for 2021 for waste management. It's the good news because with a concession contract with 30 years and a long-term contract to sell the energy, we have all the project finance conditions to give the guarantees to the financing and to protect the capital of the company, a group of companies that would like to give personal guarantees, for example. And for market opportunities, we have 6 projects in Brazil. As you can see, Mauá, Grupo Lab is our association company. It's the biggest project in Brazil to 3,000 tons per day, 80 megawatts of installed capacity, power capacity. And they have the first license, environment license, and are ongoing to construction license process. Fox Aztec have the construction license obtained, and it's a small project, but they announced that they will start to construct the plant this year. In Rio de Janeiro have the previous environment license, and these 2 projects can participate on the auction, but Fox just have the contract to sell the energy. And this auction is just for new energy, not for old energy. If they are starting to construct now, the auction is for 5 years or 6 years to sell the energy, not for now. And Fox Attack will finish their plant maybe in 3 months, 32 months. And as you can see, we have another project of Santos, 2,000 tons per day, Diadema 500 tons per day, and Cosimares 700 tons per day. And this is our project that's in Brazil that using most of them installation process. combustion to treat the waste. It's the technologies that are using in most of them thermal treatment of the waste all around the world. Only Diadema are using gasification of Autotech. And what your brain are doing, you make a contribution to NR's National Waste Management Plan. We created the first waste treatment course in Brazil with SGV, focus on waste to energy and the treatment of waste and recycle, compost, and biogas also. We're creating under development the National Waste to Energy Guide to the municipalities, to the government, to the federal government also. And we made last year 14 webinars, of which 4 was international, invited experts of waste to energy sectors, the most non-well experts around the world. And we have publications on newspapers, magazines, and it's what the brain are doing. We'd like to invite you to know our website. We have a lot of articles, newsletters, and you can receive newsletter from your email. You just have to subscribe. And this is our MBA. We just have only 9 opportunities now to the students. We have contracts for 24 students, and if you are interested, go ahead, please talk to us to make a reservation. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer. Thank you very much, Renata, for this opportunity.
The connection was very unstable. I tried to reach you, but I think you were not on your mobile. So, like, we could understand quite everything, but was very unstable, the connection. So I think maybe if you could share after the presentation, we can send for all the subscribers, all the participants that wants to know more about a brand and your actions. But it's very impressive, as I said in the beginning, that in a few years of acting, of existence, you have developed lots of actions here in Brazil. So I thank you very much for the participation. I hope you could develop more webinars talking about this market that is a very interesting market, and we can explore better possibilities and solutions. So I thank you, and I'll invite now, like, for our last speech, only a few words from our partners from Israel, and I think I will invite to follow us our few minutes on the YouTube. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Renata.
So now I'll invite Deborah Lima. She's responsible for business development related to clean tech and energy tech. So we start this partnership in a virtual way. So I can say that we have a very success on this first of 3 webinars that we provide. And only to leave some messages, final messages, that we are going to organize on 24 March the next webinar related to blockchain and the energy sector. So I invite you all to follow us and to participate. And now I invite Deborah to present herself and to leave also our some few words here on for our participants that are with us right now.
Thank you very much, Renata. I don't know if you can hear me well. Is it okay? Great. I'm just going to share my contact I don't know if you have to allow me. Just maybe here. Can see it?
Not yet.
No? What about now?
No.
No problem. It was just my contact information for the ones who would like to get in touch. But please, if you can write down my email on the chat, that would also be good. Just wanted to, first of all, of course, thank you, NRGHub, for this very interesting opportunity to share a little bit of Israel's innovation ecosystem with our crowd today. Also, thank you very much for all the Brazilian organizations, and especially our 3 Israeli companies that were able to pitch to us today. Indeed, I think we all could see very good partnership opportunities between both countries. So, as Renata said, I lead the energy and clean tech sectors in our office in Brazil. So, if you want to get to know more about what Israel can offer for the energy sector, please get in touch with me and Tali. It would be a pleasure to help you to discover what Israel has to offer. And also, as Renata said, this is the first event of a cycle of 3 virtual events we're planning for this first semester. Please feel free to join us. And thank you one more time, everyone. And that's it. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Renata.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll end our live. Thank you very much, and sorry about my English. I'm trying to improve my my English communication, but I think I'm very happy. And thank you all. Thank you for Israel Trade and Investment. Thank all our speakers, all our partners that present themselves today, and of course our participants that stayed with us until now. Thank you very much, and I hope see you soon on the next edition that will be next month on the same date. And I'll keep in touch with you in a virtual way, of course, to give you more information about our next event. So thank you very much, and thanks also for our partners that support us on this event that was Synergy Ventures. And thank you all. So have a nice lunch, everyone. And for those that are from Israel or abroad, have a nice evening. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.